I want to highlight something that I would correlate to traumatic symptoms, but it's a reminder of the mystery, the complexity, and to a certain extent, the helplessness, definitely the fear that we live in at this stage of consciousness, certainly that I do. My feet recently, I noticed when I was walking around that they felt a little sore. I had to, it was a little tender on my feet. So I looked at, why this was happening. Like, I'm having a good night's sleep. I'm not doing that much heavy work. So why are my feet sore? And it turns out that what I'm doing when I'm in the office on the computer is, imagine my feet like this, down on the floor, and I'm curling this foot under like this and then putting pressure on it with the other foot. And then I'm curling the other foot under and I'm putting pressure on it. And it doesn't want to do that, it doesn't want the ankle twisted like that. And so on the top outer edges of my foot, it's feeling the soreness. And then I'm walking, with a slight kind of tendency to fold my foot under. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm doing it out of anxiety. I'm afraid of being punished. I'm afraid of being punished. I'm afraid of being punished. I'm afraid I'm doing it wrong. I'm afraid. So I'm doing it out of, I want something to distract or to, to mitigate that thought, that feeling, that energy. And this pulling and pushing seems to provide a sense of grounded, control, because I'm out of control in that I'm out of control in the anxious, the anxiety energy. I can't stop that. I can't face it. So this is an interesting thing. So I can't stop the repetitive thought, and I can't face, meaning I can't be fully in my body and digest and move the feeling through. So it's as if I've got a hole that's about this size and I'm banging an object this size up against the hole, and it's too painful for the hole to let something this big into it. It's too painful. And so I resist it. But it's here, and so it doesn't go away, and it just keeps banging at the entrance. And that's the thought that I can't let in, that I can't face fully, that just keeps banging away. And so one part of me is kind of moving in the self-mutilation direction. Like, I will mutilate myself so that I have more control, so that this energy and pattern doesn't have to keep bullying me, right? I'll bully myself. And that's a learned pattern. If in a parental setting, if a child does something unconsciously, carelessly, etc., that, like, let's say a child breaks a $1,000 vase. I'm not sure why vases are always the example here, but $1,000 vase, a $10,000 vase, a $100 vase. It's always a vase, but a kid knocks over a vase and it breaks on the floor and the kid just runs off and plays. Well, the parent is upset about two things. One is the vase is knocked over. Two, there's an awareness that if you're living with someone who can knock over vases, without even thinking, that other things are vulnerable. Maybe the wine glasses will be next. Maybe there's a piece of art, that's going to tip over, and this. So now there's also, the message is that things can be easily broken if there's any fragility involved. So that has even more impact than the individual incident. It's the sense, well, if I get another vase, then what if that gets knocked over? Am I just supposed to keep buying vases so my kids can knock it over? So there's that. There's the shock. There's the mess. But then there's this awareness that I can't have the things that I want in the place that I want them because this kid may knock them over. So that's one set of impact. Now, if the kid is kind of oblivious and just happily, whatever, and mom, clean up the vase and I'll go play, then there's another wave of impact, which is, I don't matter. This kid, I just had shock. I just lost, $100, $1,000, $10,000. I'm sitting with whether I can have valuables. Like, can I have jewelry laying around? Or, what does this mean? This level of carelessness and this level of habit. What this habit is, and so I'm now dwelling in this thought induced by this child, and they're not dwelling in this thought. They're dwelling in let's go play, right? They don't care whether the vase costs, $5, $10, $1,000, $1 million, because they're not having to pay for it. So there's a dissociation in that. The child, as all children is self-absorbed. Self-absorbed, and that is a dissociative state. Being around self-absorption is dissociative. Because a self-absorbed person is not absorbed with you. So there's not much empathy. There's a chasm between the parent and a self-absorbed child. And this chasm creates pain. It creates distance. Like, I'm over here, they're over there. I'm in pain from what they did. I'm affected, but they're not affected by my pain. And this is one of the bases for violence, whether it's punishment or discipline. It is to make the connection, to reestablish the link between my pain and your pain. I'm in pain because of what you did. You're dissociative, though. You're self-centered. You're not in pain because I'm in pain. And I'm in pain because you're enjoying yourself, right? You thought it would be a great idea to swing the towel around and knock over the vases and then run off. I mean, that I'm in pain because you're enjoying yourself in a way that has no regard for impact. You don't care about the memories associated with the vase. You don't care about the money I had to save up. You don't care about the things that I didn't like to do to make that money. You don't know the story. You don't know any of it. You don't want to know any of it. But I'm in pain. That's not what I want to have happen, and it is happening. That's pain. I want this to be happening, but it's not happening. That's pain. There's a gap. I want this. This is happening. And in the gap, the measurement of that gap is pain. So I feel hurt that I'm affected by you, but you're not affected by me. And I'm angry. I'm hurt. And the question is, how do you get impact? How do you get impact when you're dealing with a self-centered, dissociative person? Could be someone in a sociopathic state, could be someone in, who's just very self-absorbed. A child is self-absorbed because they're still figuring out how to be independent, how to meet their own needs. And until they do that, until they learn competency, it is appropriate for them to be focused on themselves until they reach a certain stage of development, a certain stage of competence. So, self-absorbed, unconscious, dissociative child over here, hurt, frightened, somewhat lonely, because it's lonely. It's lonely to have someone impact you and not even be aware of it, not share any of the impact. It's lonely. I came, I did this to you, and then I left. And you're left feeling things, thinking things, and they're just gone. That's lonely. So we're talking about loneliness, hurt, and then anger. You made me feel hurt and lonely, and now you're off enjoying yourself in your self-centered state. So there's judgment, anger, hurt, loneliness, and judgment. That's unconscionable. That's bad. That's misbehaving, right? And then, a self-centered child or a self-centered human being is going to be expedient, right? I didn't do it. Like you saw them, you told them, don't wave the towel, right? Don't wave the towel. You saw them waving the towel, right? Stop that. No, they were in a big hurry to keep waving the towel, and then boom, the vase goes down. And the expedient thing for a child is to say, she made me do it, or I didn't do it, or or to run away, right? So now I'm left alone, and the idea is that I have to fix all this. I have to clean up the vase. I have to deal with my anger. I have to deal with my loneliness. I have to deal with my hurt. I have to deal with my anxiety. I have to deal with a reality where the act of buying a vase is not the act of contemplating a beautiful future, looking at my lovely vase. Again, I'm not sure why vases are the archetype for this type of thing, but but anyway, that's I have to contemplate a future without vases, right? Well, a vase is supposed to mean something in the culture, a place to put things. I mean, does anyone put flowers in vases? Well, anyway, it's supposed to complete the house, and there it is. I have to contemplate a future without vases. And I'm not happy. I'm not happy about any of it, none of it. And most of all, I am not happy that, maybe a child that hasn't been disciplined thinks it's funny. Look at dad, look at mom. She's having to clean up that vase. I'll knock another one over, right? It's great fun, getting attention. I'm not happy about any of it. The question is, how do you break through the barrier where my pain is your pain? Because when my pain is my pain and your pain is my pain, I'm alone. I'm hurt. I'm small. And this is where violence comes in. You violated my boundary. You broke my vase. You broke my word. Like I said, don't do that. You broke that boundary. You did it. You broke my vase. You've broken 2 of my boundaries already. Then I said, stop, and you ran off. I started talking, and you interrupted me with all of your excuses. So you've broken 4 boundaries. I want to be comforted. I have an idea that this is what comfort looks like, to be apologized to. And you're not honoring that either. You're breaking all of my boundaries. My image of a valuable person is to be apologized to. My image of this is to be this. My image of a house is a vase, right? A nice house has a vase in it. That's why we have a vase, right? I saw a vase. I thought that would look nice in our house because nice houses have vase. So, you're ruining the image of the nice house, right? Now you're ruining my public image, another boundary. When the neighbors come over and see, they're going to say, I thought these people were civilized. Where's the vase? Right? I mean, it is kind of an odd thing, like this kind of rounded thing, often with nothing in it. Not very useful for drinking, But it's supposed, that's what people do, right? And you've ruined it, right? You've ruined it. And I want you to understand what a big deal it is. And you don't understand what a big deal it is, right? Because you're a child, because you're self-centered. So I'm going to hit you, right? And if you talk and say, oh, I never did it, I'm going to hit you again so that you know that bothers me as well, right? It bothers me to look at you, to tell you not to swing the towel, to tell you to move away from the wall, to have to come after you. All of that bothers me, and it bothers me. It bothers me to have to listen to your lies, to your excuses, to your delusionary promises. You're never going to do it again. You just did it yesterday. You said you'd never do it again then. This whole thing is upsetting. I want a truthful child. Instead, I have a lying child. I want, I want a child that thinks you're not thinking. But I'm going to hit you and hit you until you, one, feel the way I do. Meaning you feel lonely. That I'm hitting you and it hurts you, but it doesn't hurt me. There's the lie, it hurts me more than it hurts you. Then you wouldn't be doing it as a parent, right? Right? I'm over here feeling frustrated and helpless because I don't know what I'm doing in an incompetent culture that doesn't teach parents how to parent. I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel bad about that. Right? You don't feel bad that I don't know what I'm doing. I feel bad, right? I'm in an incompetent cult that grants the legal right, the social sanction for any random, messed up, abused, traumatized, incompetent set of grown-ups to raise a perfectly innocent child who doesn't know what they're doing either, right? So now you have a family where nobody knows what they're doing, right? So I don't like being in that situation. Not quite sure how it happened. But, I'll be damned if I'm going to go through all this alone. So loneliness, fear, hurt, anger. Are you feeling what I'm feeling yet? You goddamn miserable wretch, you self-centered, always just doing whatever you want to do wretch. Are you feeling what I feel? Well, when there's helpless whimpering, please, oh, don't hurt me. When there's, it's like, oh, that sounds like loneliness. That sounds like terror. That sounds like anxiety. That sounds like helplessness. That sounds like this child is now aware of how I feel. They're feeling it too. So we've established a relationship. Incompetent, violent, but we've established a rapport. When I feel terrible, you feel terrible. When I feel great, and I buy you an ice cream cone and whatever, you feel great. So it's a crude workaround for parental loneliness, for parental incompetence, for cultural incompetence. A competent culture raises competent parents who are not parentally incompetent and who can bond, who can form a secure attachment with their children that the child can feel into, can respond to. We're talking about our cult, an incompetent cult, where most of the time the parents can't feel into their own states and work with them and parent themselves, parent their own inner helplessness and feelings. And so they certainly can't do it with an outer child. If they can't do it with an inner child, when they feel small and helpless, if they just collapse and roll up into a ball and say, I never did it, I didn't do it, don't hit me, right? How are they going to help a child doing the same thing? They're not, right? But still the gap, I want to matter. Everyone wants to matter. I want what I care about to be what you care about. I care about this vase. You care about running around and playing, right? Well, you want me to care about you, right? It's a dissociative family. Parents don't understand the needs, the energy, the cycles of the child, and are kind of bound on attacking the child for being a child. The child doesn't understand the cultural constraints, the structures, the architecture of cult thought that places a lot of significance on vases. So how are they going to come together, right? Well, the child isn't going to learn to come together from an incompetent parent, but the incompetent parent had an incompetent parent of their own, and they can hit their child, right? And at least we're now in the same place. You're feeling hurt, small, and miserable? Me too. Me too. I'm feeling hurt and small and miserable. Now you're feeling it too. We're in the same state, right? If you beat a child enough, whatever rage, helplessness, resentment, you goddamn motherfucking child, you broke this, you did that, you did this, right? Well, if you beat a child enough, that's exactly how they feel too. You goddamn motherfucking parent, you hit me here, you did this, it's unfair, So now we're in the same state. Now we're not alone. May not be a very happy state, may not be a very competent state, but we're not alone in our misery. I felt terrified, small, and miserable, and now you do too. And we're both here together in a small, helpless, miserable state. And the need for love and belonging is strong enough that if, as an antidote to loneliness, the need for love and belonging is strong enough that if we don't form it with tenderness, with respect, with skill, with competence, because we're in a cult that doesn't teach us these traits, then we will create it with pain. If we don't create something beautiful, we will create something painful. Pain is the incompetent version, the unconscious version of intimacy, of into me you see. I'm in pain because I don't know what I'm doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing, I cause you pain, and now we're both in pain together. And we don't know what we're doing, right? Now, if the child if the parent, has punished the child repeatedly, and the child has been traumatized and reduced into a helpless state, now the child may jump the gun. The child doesn't want to go through the whole dynamic, the whole chase, and resist and then lose and feel helpless and small. So what the child may do is, I didn't do it, and move into the posture of being hit, of being hurt. I'm sorry, I didn't do it. I'm sorry. It was all my fault. It's all my fault. To let the parent know, I'm already in your state. I'm already helpless. I'm already frustrated. I'm already terrified. I'm already hurt. That's what you want, isn't it? You want me to feel what you feel so that you don't feel so alone. And I do. I feel what you feel. I'm already in there. I'm all small and I'm in there. You don't have to hit me to introduce that state. I've already done it myself. I remembered it. I know what you want. And here it is. Well, pain is created. Pain is created when one person is in a helpless state, is in a state of need, and the other party doesn't respond, doesn't acknowledge, doesn't empathize. Because we all want love and belonging. And the way we experience love and belonging is when I'm in pain, you respond. When I'm in pain, you respond. And when you respond, I know that our bond is real. If you dissociate, I know our bond is an illusion. I don't really belong. And so when I'm hurt, and you feel hurt, that I'm hurt, I know our bond is real. And when you're happy and I'm happy that you're happy, you know our bond is real. And so as a beaten child, as a traumatized child, as a small one, dependent on large ones who were enraged, who were helpless, who were terrified, and who were lonely. I know what my parents want. And I know that if I go into that posture, that broken posture, that pain, that shame, that grief, that helplessness, if I do that to myself, we will share a bond of misery, of incompetence, of shame, of failure, and of pain. And if I go out and be happy and successful and energized and delighted, we will not share that bond. And they will hit me, and they will hate me for not joining them in their state. And so what my inner child is doing as my outer world becomes more successful is it's artificially creating the misery that will connect me with the parental figure, the incompetent, traumatizing abuser that rarely truly enjoyed life, that was rarely truly successful, was small and hurt on the inside. So if I twist my feet under and don't go out as much and don't enjoy myself as much, if I twist my feet under, I will hurt like they do, and they won't have to hit me. They won't hate me as much. And I don't want to feel their hatred, and I don't want to feel the loneliness, and I don't want to be hit. And so these feelings come up, and I accommodate, I adapt, I become smaller. And so, how to work with that? Of course, I'm more aware of it, right? My feet are present right now, right? And they're tending a little bit in that direction. So I can be more aware of it and take the other foot off of the other foot. Because it'd be kind of like if this hand was always pulling this hand into pain. I just did that for hours of the day, and then I took it off, and this feels painful, and this feels painful. And then I did it on this one. Then this feels painful too, and my arms just feel sore. Why is that? Like, what am I doing? Right? I'm tormenting myself in a certain way so that the projected parent will not feel so alone. So that there's hope that I will not be abandoned by the abusive parent, by the parent that also gives life. Like when I do things the right way, when I'm quiet, when I'm tight, when I don't take up space, when I'm small, when I'm meek, when I'm polite, when it's all about them. When it's all about them. Do you mind if I breathe, Dad? Do you mind if I... suddenly Dad starts to feel big again, right? Someone else knows how he feels. Right? Suddenly there isn't an annoying thing in Mom's way, right? So that impulse to be taken care of, to be given life, traumatized child is always looking for that desperately. Don't take it away. Don't hit me. Don't put me in that dark place. What do I have to do? And so much of it is to volunteer to go into the position. BDSM, a sexualized version of, will you enact my helplessness? Will you let me give you my feelings of embarrassment, of humiliation, of loneliness? Will you receive those feelings in the position that represents those feelings for me, so that we have a shared bond in frustration, in loneliness, or in the feminine expression, whether male or female, in the feminine expression, give me, let me take your pain, let me be where you are, let me carry your burden with you, let me assume the position where we're in this together. You can't get out of your rage, of your pain, but I'll join you in there. I can be what you need me to be. If you need to slap me, slap me. If you need to hurt me, if you need to insult me, do that. Just don't leave me. I can be what it is that you need me to be. And what you need to experience love and belonging is to be joined in the same state, to be understood in that state. That's what you need. I can give it to you. Let me give it to you. Don't leave me. Don't push me away. Hit me. Hurt me. Let me hear you talk about it. Tell me about your feelings. If you can't tell me, show me. If you can't show me, do me. Connection, the bond. By volunteering to take a small, frightened and twisted state, by volunteering, I hope to give peace to the frightened and enraged father. I hope to give entertainment to the dissociative and sociopathic mother, so that they won't feel so bad, so that they won't be so alone. Just don't leave me as an innocent child, as an innocent infant. Don't leave me, because I can't live without you, says the 2-year-old, says the 3-year-old, says the 4-year-old, says the 5-month-old. I can't live without you. I need you to take care of me, to protect me, to meet the needs I don't know how to meet. I need you. I want you as the older child and adolescent. I want you. I want you in my life. I want you to make me look good. I want you to do this. I want you. I want the pleasure of your orgasm. I want I can't do it without you. I need you. Now, I want you. In the absence of that, there's no connection. There's no one there. The loneliness of our cult, the loneliness of keeping busy. No one there, no one listening, no one responding, no one loving, no one holding. No one there. How small do I have to make myself? How much do I have to torture myself before someone will see themselves in me and not feel so alone and want me by their side? Maybe I'm not hurting enough. Maybe I'm not lonely enough. I'm not desperate enough. If I was really, really, really desperate, then maybe someone would hold on, would comfort me, would parent me, would let me belong, like they used to when I was in pain, when I cried. And eventually they came. Eventually they forgave. So whether it's drinking too much, getting into an accident, losing money, refusing to sleep well, this tormented pattern. I will torment myself so that you're not alone, Dad. Is an identity, a pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being that emerged as a way to facilitate survival, the fulfillment of human needs, the need for love and belonging in whatever depraved or twisted way that is offered. And some part of me doesn't know another way to do it. I'm deepening the loneliness and the loneliness and the loneliness because that's where Dad was. Dad was lonely, desperately lonely, miserably lonely. So to find him, to find connection, is to find loneliness, deeper and deeper loneliness, to find something of Dad. But of course, Dad turned away from himself. He turned away from his own loneliness. And so to join him in loneliness was to be turned away from. He would turn away from me when I joined him, as rapaciously as he turned away from himself. Let's take a moment and just honor how many millions of years of human life, millions and millions of years of human life is spent in these protocols, is spent in these states. Because at the level of competency that we are at right now, That's what we teach. That's what we embody. That's what we know how to do.